Mr. Stitchy, a black stretched-out figure with a creepy teddy bear head who has made many appearances, as well as the first character to introduce the official Eye of Insolence. Tio, a human-like entity who makes deals to both the infected and survivors at their most desperate times, so he can make them into his personal puppets, as well as being the secret evil mastermind behind the events of Book 1 and the main antagonist of Book 2. Now these two characters have one thing in common, being one of the strongest members of the Insolence, but the difference between these two characters is the role they play in the Piggy storyline. Now for the longest time, players thought Mr. Stitchy was the mastermind behind the infection, as well as debating if he is canon or not, but it was later revealed in Book 2 that Tio was the one pulling the strings since the very beginning. But what does that leave for Mr. Stitchy? How does he have a part of this? Well, he kinda doesn't have one, but I do believe he has one intention: to get rid of Tio. Why, you may ask? Well, if we go to the distraction chapter, Tio states in this cutscene right here that he used to be just like us, but he felt alone quite often, so he made himself a friend from beyond, that friend being Mr. Stitchy. This can also be backed up with these drawings in the Hunt First Edition chapter, though the chapter itself isn't considered canon because of the whole time travel thing, but since the entire chapter is basically Finley and player traveling through the Piggy timeline, both the past and the present, so it's possible that they ended up in a time where Tio met Mr. Stitchy, the same time when Tio joined the Insolence, and these drawings are showing what has happened during that time. Mr. Stitchy's first appearance, to Tio getting his mask, to then later joining Mr. Stitchy and the Insolence, which leads us to this specific note: I was his only friend, I gave him a face. Mr. Stitchy being that friend, and the mask being the face he gave Tio. But this friendship doesn't last long, because Tio later states that he started to become more like his friend in more ways we can imagine, such as appearance, height, most importantly power. Tio was getting stronger, more powerful, just as powerful as Mr. Stitchy, and Mr. Stitchy did not like that, most likely because he was afraid that Tio would outpower him and take his throne, so he kicked Tio out of the club, and this pissed Tio off, so he most likely used all the spells and everything that he's learned to use against Mr. Stitchy, and in the process Tio ends up damaging Mr. Stitchy's eyes, leaving him with scars mainly around his eyes, and one missing eye, and that was the last straw. Tio has crossed the line, so Mr. Stitchy most likely teleported Tio away, ending his journey there, and starting his journey here, in his own dimension, and Tio with his newfound rage, he lets it out on the world, possibly causing the infection, and as the world is at its lowest state, Tio makes deals to people who are desperate for help, for example Penny and Zizzy, who just wanting to see their family again. This was Tio's plan all along. He was creating an army, an empire. If he couldn't be a part of Mr. Stitchy's group, he'll simply create his own. We can tell it's Tio's doing this, because mostly all of the corrupted piggies have the eye on their left side, and Mr. Stitchy probably heard of this. He obviously didn't like the idea, but the problem is he knows he can't defeat Tio. He's injured from the last attack, so he went on a search to hopefully find someone who is maybe capable of defeating Tio. That's where he found us, the player. He seems the things we have gone through. He knows we're immune to the infection, so he checks on us to make sure we end up meeting Tio, to hopefully defeating him. How, you may ask? Plot armor, of course, which leads us to our conclusion. Mr. Stitchy didn't want to help us. He didn't want to help the world with the infection. He simply wanted to see his old friend fall. Why, you may ask? To simply put him back in charge once again, to simply make him the strongest member of the Insolence. But anyways, comment down below. What do you guys think of this? And subscribe for more Piggy theory. Have a good rest of your day.